Hello, everybody, and welcome to week 8. The end of this week marks the halfway point of the semester. Yay! We've certainly learned a lot so far and a lot more to come for the end. But before we dig into the topic for the week, there are quite a few housekeeping type things that we need to get out of the way. First of all, a couple weeks back, I posted a link to a social media survey and talked to you a little bit about the research that I'm doing on using Twitter in college courses. I'm posting the same link again in this week's module in case you haven't taken the survey yet. I would really appreciate your participation in my research. Also, since this week is the midpoint of the semester, 2 major assignments for the course are due at the end of this week if you chose to do either one of them. Those 2 assignments are the news article reflections and the global and U.S. issues presentation. If you chose either one of these assignments, they must be posted to their respective drop boxes, which are on Blackboard under the assignment info tab, by the end of this week, March 2nd at 11:59 p.m. If you are struggling to meet this deadline, please communicate with me. If you didn't choose either one of these assignments, then you don't have to do them this week, but now would still be a really good time to double check and make sure that the assignment plan that you did set at the beginning of the semester for yourself will still work. Because if for some reason you discover that you need to do these assignments to meet the requirements of the different rows and columns that we have, now would be the optimal time to figure this out, not later. As always, please let me know if you have any questions about the assignments or your assignment plan. I will welcome any email questions. If you just want to run your assignment plan by me just to double check and make sure it's right, please do that. If you have any doubts, much rather you email than not, right? So I want to talk to you about another assignment in the course, if you chose this one, which is the Women's Educational Center Events assignment. For this assignment, basically you have to attend 2 events put on by the Women's Educational Center, or the WEC, as I like to call it, and you just have to go to 2 events by the end of the semester. On Blackboard, on that assignment sheet, there is a list of events that you can attend, and since we're getting near the halfway point of the semester, the amount of the events that are an option for attending for this assignment are getting fewer and fewer. So if you chose that assignment, you want to make sure that you get in your events. So each time you attend an event, you need to write a reflection in a discussion post in the discussion board for the week that you attended. So this means that you must attend 2 events, and you have to write them up by April 13th. Okay, so that's technically the due date for this particular assignment. Your 2 events have to just be done and written by April 13th. I've only seen about 3 people so far write discussion boards about events, so that means that maybe just 3 people are doing this assignment, which is totally fine. But if more of you are out there and you're choosing to do that assignment, like I said, you're running out of events to attend. So make sure you check the calendar posted on Blackboard in that Women's Educational Center assignment sheet and plan to head out to 2 of them. That being said, the last week of March is Human Trafficking Awareness Week on campus, which fits in quite nicely with a previous topic from our course. So various other groups on campus are hosting events, including the WEC, related to sex and labor trafficking. So I added more events to the calendar of possible events to attend for the assignment. So it's been updated, and the current version is on Blackboard right now. So if you check this event list a long time ago and you want to do this assignment, check it again. There's a few more on there. All events taking place that last week of March, March 24th. So with any event, you must also sign in order to get credit for attending. So when you do attend those events, make sure that there's always a sign-in sheet there, and the WEC sends me the sign-in sheet after those events. So it's nice to get, I can see who has attended and who hasn't. So that's a key part of making sure you get credit for those assignments. All right, so any questions on assignments, please don't hesitate to let me know, and I can do my best to help you out. So now on to the topic at hand this week. This is a personal favorite of mine because this is a lot of my research interest is in microfinance, and that's going to be our topic for the next couple weeks, this weekend after spring break. So the focus of the rest of the semester is going to be a little bit more solution focused than we've been previously discussing. So I want to continue our discussion about how education can be a solution to issues of women's safety, health, and discrimination. But I also want to turn our focus toward empowering women to be a force in the economic world as well. This can be a really interesting solution for women's issues in addition to education. So in some future modules, I'll give us more information about how we can empower our future students if we're going into education to be a force in the economic world. But this week's module is going to focus on getting us some background information on this concept of microfinance or microfinancing. Microfinance literally means small loans. So if anyone in the class, if any of you are a business owner, or you have a desire to be one or to be an entrepreneur, or if you know others that own their own businesses, you all know that starting a business requires money. Business owners need to get a loan from a bank or get a loan from other investors to start a business, and then you have to manage that loan money or that investment so that it takes care of all the expenses of running your business. Ideally, then your business will make a profit and you can pay the loan back. Of course, part of the risk of being an entrepreneur and running a business is that you might not make a profit. You might not be able to pay your loans back. Some people would love to start their own businesses and think they have a very profitable idea, but they don't have credit to get a loan. In some countries, the amount of money needed to get a business off the ground is actually very small. So as you will read in Half the Sky this week, sometimes starting a business means a lot more to the future entrepreneurs than just making money. In some cases, in some of the stories you're going to read about, being able to start a business and being able to bring any sort of money into a family dynamic is empowering for women and helpful for the men in their lives to see that they are important and worth paying attention to. So this week I want you to start with reading chapter 11 in Half the Sky. And again, you're gonna hear some sad stories about women that have been sort of oppressed by the men in their lives, but I want you to think of things a little bit differently. I want you to consider the following questions about microfinance, and then maybe use these questions to spark a discussion post, a discussion comment, or a reading reflection this week if you chose to do those. So think about this concept of financing women. So microfinancing is not donations and it's not fundraising. It's not giving money to somebody to help them out. It's loaning them money. So this is different than donating money. So how is this different in a sense of how would this help empower women? As with any of these solutions, though, even when we talk about education as a solution, there are some barriers to allowing women to borrow money. What are these? I want you to think about that as you read chapter 11 in Half the Sky. Sometimes it's not quite as simple even just to hand out loans in addition to handing out charity. So how could empowering women economically lead to empowering women in other areas like education and government? So this chapter is going to talk about that. They don't seem to be related that much on the surface, but I want you to dig into these stories a little bit more in this chapter and think about that. How could empowering women economically help empower them in other areas of their lives? And think about that in your own life. How does making money, being on your own, supporting yourself on your own help empower you in general in your life? So once you've read chapter 11 in Half the Sky, we're going to do that first. Then I want you to check out two different websites that are on our Week 8 module. The first one is called Kiva, K-I-V-A. It's called kiva.org. They are a micro-lending site. Once you have an idea of this concept, so you're going to browse the general kiva.org website, just like we browse a lot of other websites these past few weeks. Then I want you to check out the Kiva Michigan site, which is through a group called Michigan Core. Here you're going to find people all over Michigan that are looking for small loans to start businesses around here locally. You're going to see a lot of people from Flint and Detroit, and they're looking for small loans to start businesses. So many of these people are actually starting businesses that will help the community, which is very cool. That's a theme of many people that are seeking microfinance loans. You can actually loan a small amount, which is usually around $25. You don't have to for this course, but in life you might want to consider it. And what Kiva does is it collects all of the small loans that people might make to a particular business that they find. So you as a potential lender can go on to Kiva, can find a business that you think is really worth supporting. You could lend, not donate, lend $25 or more to that particular entrepreneur. Kiva collects all of the small loans into one big loan for that person, usually up to anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000. They usually give out for first-timers, first-time business owners. They'll give $5,000. They collect all that together. They give it to the entrepreneur. They lend it to them, and then Kiva will manage the process of lending, paying all the lenders back. So the entrepreneur will pay Kiva when they start turning a profit, and Kiva will pay back all of the people that lend. So you wouldn't be donating $25. You would be loaning $25, and you could possibly get that $25 back. So this is a very similar approach to other sites you might have heard of, like Kickstarter or Indiegogo. Kickstarter's been in the news a lot, especially in like the entertainment business and people trying to fund artistic projects. But the idea is that you get your money back or you get some sort of prize if the fundraiser reaches a certain goal. So Kickstarter is a little different than Kiva. Kiva is definitely focused on business owners. But that's why I want you to explore. It's a similar idea, so I want you to explore that Kiva website. We're going to talk about this a lot more in our next module as well, as to kind of how this whole microfinancing process works. But it's good to get like a general overview from Half the Sky and browse around to see how it's gonna match up locally. So also, as a preview for the next module, I have posted a blog post. So for this week, I want you to read this blog post. It's written by me from the Nerdy Book Club blog. So this might seem like this is quite unrelated, but a lot of my research has been in teaching elementary students about microfinancing and about how empowering people economically can help actually benefit the community. So I wrote a blog post about some of the dissertation work that I've done recently where I gave elementary students a microfinance loan and encouraged them to be social entrepreneurs, where they had to start a business that helped the community, just like some of the people you're going to see on the Kiva website. So I'm definitely going to share more about this research of mine with you in the next module, but it's probably good to get a little sense of kind of how that works and how some of the work that I have done by reading this blog post. It's very short. It's about 800 words. It won't take you very long to read. You're welcome to browse around on that site too. It's a site for educators, so if you're going into education, I highly recommend bookmarking that blog. They give a lot of book recommendations. That's sort of where my blog post comes from. It comes from a children's book that I worked with my 5th grade students. So anyway, I'll talk more about that in the upcoming module. So this module is a good preview for this whole concept of microfinance, and we'll dig into it a little bit more. So as a recap here, this week, if you chose the discussion post assignment, remember that you must make 12 discussion posts, which means you must post every single week that we have readings. So if you miss a week, you can go back and redo it. You won't get full points, but that's okay. It's better than getting 0 points. I always accept late work, so make sure you attempt to get those in on time, but if you don't, same with the comments. If you chose the discussion comment assignment, you must do 12 comments, which means you have to comment every single week. So if you miss one, go back and do it. The discussion boards are still there. I don't delete them, but make sure you get that work in so you can get the maximum amount of points that's possible. So this week, if you chose those assignments, these need to be posted, as always, by Sunday, March 2nd, 11:59 p.m. Just like I mentioned earlier, the news article reflection assignment and the global and U.S. issues assignment, if you chose those, are also due this particular Sunday. There's no real deadline for tweeting each week if you chose the Twitter assignment. But I have noticed that some people who I believe have chosen that assignment have been very quiet on Twitter. So I think everyone should tweet if the mood strikes them, if they want to share something related to the class topic. Like I say every week, feel free to tweet even if you didn't choose that assignment. But if you did choose it, then you want to be graded on it as part of your column B assignments, then you have to be very active on Twitter. So if you didn't choose it, you can sort of come and go as you please, or if not, but if you did choose that assignment, you need to be pretty active on Twitter and not save all your possible tweets for 1 week. You need to space them out over the course of the semester. This is so the conversation can be good on Twitter, and it really is very, very good. I always archive the conversation and I post it to my own Twitter account. So every Monday or so I collect all of the tweets that have been made for the week on our hashtag, and I put it together in like a recap site that I use called Storify, and then I tweet out that recap to everybody. So even if you didn't choose that assignment, but you still kind of want to read what people are talking about, you can just click on my tweet and you can read all of the hashtag tweets from the entire week. So I think it's always good to catch up on what we're talking about. So be active, definitely. I shouldn't need to remind you of this either, but next week is spring break. I'm sure you have that all on your calendars and you've been counting down the days. So hopefully you are able to rest, relax, recharge for the second half of the semester so that you're able to finish out strong. So I know it might not feel like spring, but I do hope you can get away from work for a little bit, do something fun, take a break from schoolwork. So that means you will not be seeing a module from me next Monday, March 3rd. So enjoy your week off. I will come back and post another module on Monday, March 10th, where we're going to actually continue talking about the microfinance topic. So look for an email from me closer to the end of spring break, and I'll let you know when that's posted and ready to go. So enjoy your break. As always, let me know if you need anything this week.